We're now joined by the Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources and Energy Chair, and that's Sahlulele Luzipo. Thank you for being with us. I'd like to ask you if you can comment on what the Mayor said, but as a country we've seen so many shocking things. Would you agree that 21 bodies, again, is shocking?
Look, I think we must, yes, I think I would agree with some of the sentiments that the Mayor made. For an example, one of the things that we have said was that when you look at this thing, we must look at it holistic. The first challenge is that there are areas that you can deal with. For an example, the closure of derelict and ownerless mines, the holdings, and quite a number of issues. But then you will have a challenge of situations where you do have active mine operations or people who own the mining right. Ordinarily, under normal circumstances, once you own a mining right, it means you take full responsibility for all the activities that are taking place in your area, including the support system that you will require. And I think that's one part that we need to clarify. With regards to this, I think with extreme sensitivity, it is a reflection, though, of the magnitude of the challenge that we have. You will recall we just issued a statement to say we are quite disappointed with the fact that there has been a withdrawal of the charges against those who were alleged. And we are not saying they should have faced those charges at all costs, but we are saying police must do a thorough job, and we hope this is not something that police had to do in order to show that they were doing something. Because if you've got women, almost 10 women that are raped and being raped, some even multiple times, and you come back and say you are unable to find who is this individual. Secondly, linked to that is the fact that we're worried about statements. At times when we deal with issues, let's allow processes to unfold and go beyond the call of normality. I don't think it is a correct statement to say when 21 bodies are found of allegedly or suspicious illegal miners, we should then say we suspect no foul play. But within the same vein, it is the same people who will say it is suspected that those people they never made their fate where they were. So they never lost their lives in the area where they were discovered. They were found there, but it seems the occasion would have taken place somewhere else. That on its own, moving a body from one part to another part, it actually suggests that there is foul play in that exercise. And the most critical thing, which is why we said in Krugersdorp, one of the complex things is that you've got a situation where you are told that there is illegal mining that is taking place, but within the same area, very close proximity, you've got people who have got a mining right. Now, the question is, how did bodies of illegal miners find themselves, even if they were deposited or were dropped there, they find themselves being deposited in an active operation mine? I think, to the best of my knowledge, the information that we have is that is an active mine. It means there's a mining right, there's someone who's doing formal and legal mining in the area. So we say police must go now beyond the call of duty. Why were those illegal miners then found in an active mining operation?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's extraordinary that 21 bodies could have been moved if that was the case, and nobody saw and nobody knows where these bodies come from exactly. My question to you is, it's very interesting what the Mayor is saying, that actually what they need is warm bodies. It won't cost the billions that we've heard it will cost from government. What do you think? How much will it take to actually fix this problem, even if it's in that municipal area, although, like he says, then the Zama Zamas move to other and sometimes even more unsafe areas?
No. There are two challenges. I think let's separate the two. The Mayor may not be correct. The first one is what we call derelict and ownerless mine. It means those mines no one can take liability, and therefore they become the responsibility of the state to close them. He is correct on one part. I think that one we agree 100%. That part of the challenge is that when you close the holes, then that becomes a sign that there is an active mining prospect. There is It's a direction, it's a pointer that you may find a commodity. So what they usually do, on the slab, they will then dig around the slab and still find the tunnel or the shaft and therefore go down. So once you say you are closing, at the same time you are sending signals that they must come in numbers. But one of the things that we have seen in the central Johannesburg was what we call a developmental project. Instead of closing and putting slabs, you just put a development project that will cover a large space. For an example, I'm not saying that is the case. There we found that there was for the if I'm not mistaken, for Joburg Metro, they were building a transport hub where they will just build something that will have levels and floors, but at the same time it covers a big space, and therefore it becomes very difficult. And we said, there, if you give a development an opportunity in these areas, yes, we may address. But the truth of the matter is that when you deal with derelict and ownerless land, you need money. That is a fact. And with the current allocation that has been given, for an example, the entity that is responsible now with to deal with the closure of the derelict and ownerless land, which is Intec under the GMRE, in its presentation, it stated clearly that with the pace and the amount that is allocated for them, which is 140 million rands, it will take them 17 years to close those derelict and ownerless mines. With the effort said, instead of the money for the close of derelict and ownerless mine be part of the overall budget of the department, the treasury must take a consideration of doing what we call conditional granting, which means that grant, when it is given for a specific project until it is successful. Yeah. Equally, if we bring in what we call specialized police unit that will deal with illegal mining, the budget should not just be subjected to the budget of police. It must be subjected, yes, as part of the budget of the police, but specifically projected towards eradicating illegal mining activity, especially the areas where you've got what I call social violence, where there is reign of terror in the communities, there are rapes, there are murders and assassinations.
Yeah, Mr. Luzipo, it sounds dire. This area sounds dire at night, and people say that they are afraid to go out of their homes. So that is the situation. And you're talking about the money issue. Wasn't the perfect time to allocate money was during the medium-term budget policy statement? Government has a bit of extra cash coming in. Has there been pressure for this issue to be dealt with? Has Parliament put the right pressure on?
We adjusted with the reports. I don't know on what terms. Obviously, we have not included the portfolio, the Standing Committee on Finance, and I can speak on behalf of the Minister of Finance in terms of the allocation. But we can safely say that the report that we've received, both from police and as a portfolio committee, as well as from the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, is that the two ministers, the two departments, have agreed on a specialized unit that will look at the issue of a specialized unit of the police force. But in the meantime, we've said, if it needs be, and it has to be, then let's bring the army, because when you look at this issue, it is a war declared against the community. And the level of equipment for war that you have, it is sometimes surpasses that of the South African Police Service. And this is why we said, consideration in the meantime must be made to rescue communities when there is war declared against them. You've got people here having high caliber ammunition, including explosives, and some of them, it is alleged that those are former army officials from their countries within SADC region. And therefore, we can't. The issue is that you have to develop an emergency strategy, but at the same time, you must develop a long-term strategy that will finally eradicate and therefore give opportunity to police to focus on what we call common crime activities that they are supposed to be dealing with.
My final question to you, it's also sad for some of the illegal miners. I mean, 21, at least 21, have lost their lives here. And there were earlier reports of a young man who paid 100 Rand to go and be a Zama Zama and died shortly thereafter. But this was someone just desperate to make some money. The artisanal miners are calling for rehabilitation and some sort of reform where the miners are allowed to go in legally, where they're allowed to go to safe places. Is that all pie in the sky right now, or is it possible to fix this problem and make it a win-win?
No. Let's address two issues, and I've tried to explain this issue. And I think already you've got regulations that regulate artisanal and what we call small-scale mining. Recently, the Department of Mineral Resources, I'm not speaking on their behalf, they can give the major detail, was in the area of Sahlulele region, Krugersdorp and Krugersdorp, issuing out licenses and mining rights, because we have said there are things that they don't need they don't need the rocket science. All what you need is to do mentorship, give people the mining rights, they do the mining activities. It will curtail the other problem. But let's deal with two critical issues, the risk. The first one is that we've got the mines that in the areas where they are located. For instance, if you are told that the illegal miners are mining the entry, remember when you do mining, even your derelict and ownerless mine, they would have left what is called the pillars. And it is not allowed in law that you can mine the pillars, because that's when the ground collapses and you've got a major mass death. And that is the first part. And therefore, even when you do your issue of artisanal and small-scale mining, you will have to take into consideration areas where there is risk, especially underground mining. Equally, when we deal with derelict and ownerless mines, we also have to look at the safety side of it, so that you don't put communities at risk in doing so. So artisanal and small-scale mining is one of the things that we said we need to speed up that process where it is possible, and it has to happen. Let's do it with speed because we are late. But there are areas where they just require that you close them, you put them down. I think, for an example, they say the crisis of the West Rand or East Rand, the crisis that we have in areas like Krugersdorp is as a result of a successful program of rehabilitation that took place in Velkom. And therefore, as you close most of the areas in Velkom, then the movement started to move towards areas like Krugersdorp.
And that concurs, Mr. Luzipo, with what the Mayor said. I'm sorry we've run out of time, but thank you for explaining the complexities around this issue that many just wish could be fixed. Maybe 21 lives didn't need to be lost. We'll keep following. Thank you. Portfolio Committee on Mineral Resources, Energy and Energy Chair, Sahlulele Luzipo.